Rob Anderson, Clean Power Wash, Salisbury, Maryland. Making this video for two reasons. One, general YouTube, and obviously, two would be for general YouTube and everybody else. Number one, this is going to be actually for employees to be able to watch and kind of understand the entire process and exactly what needs to be done on every job when it comes to roof cleaning. So, first and foremost, obviously get to the house, put a lawn sign in the front yard, grab your hose, walk up to the front door, drop the hose down, knock on the door, say hi, introduce yourself, yada yada. At that point, go ahead and hook the hose up to the spigot on the house, turn that bad boy on, and then now it's time to go walk around the house. If I've already been out there, I'll have given you other information on exactly what to look for, things that I've noticed. While you're walking around the house, go ahead and start taking pictures of the plants, shrubs, trees, video. You can do either one. Nice thing with a video is that sometimes you can catch stuff more just walking around the house and looking at it. A couple of big things to start looking for. Number one is going to be your downspouts. Number two is any, really nice flowers, bushes, anything else there that could be issue. Look for where the downspouts are going. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and bring around the downspout bags, bag those up. Go ahead and tie both, the one end obviously onto the actual downspout, and then we're going to run the other one either tied at the other end, or if it's a spot where we've got a good area that we can redirect it to, that's going to be pretty ideal. Notice the amount of roof that's going to any particular downspout, and then adjust the size of the gutter bags accordingly. Unfortunately, too many of these houses have sections where basically half of the rear roof is all going to one downspout, or you might even have more of it going to one downspout. So obviously in those situations, we're going to need to keep an eye both on how much stuff is in there, and probably go with a longer bag instead of if it's only a a small little porch or something like that. Then at that point, deal with that with a smaller amount. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and somebody is going to go ahead and start spraying water with the power washer. We want to go ahead and soak the roots. That way the roots are soaking up plenty of water. They're not thirsty. They don't want to drink any of the bleach in our roof mix. Go ahead and get your Tyvek out. Wet the plants, the actual leaves, any blossoms or anything like that. Put the Tyvek on top and start spraying your mix. Depending on the roof, if it's all just black streaks, you can do one mix. Sorry, truck's driving funny right now. Depending on it, it'll change a little bit as far as how we're gonna handle it. So if it's got lots of moss on it, what you want to do is go ahead and do spot treatments first. Go ahead and hit those big patches of moss, get them soaking. We don't want a whole lot of runoff, but we want to go ahead and get those areas drinking it up pretty good. Once that's done, give it about 10 minutes to start working. Go ahead and get the entire thing. Meanwhile, whoever the ground guy is, he needs to be spraying towards the plants. If there's large overhangs or we've got branches and things that are going to be in the way, spraying towards them. If possible, ground guy should actually be either, if you're spraying towards the side of the house, you want him on that side so he's hitting that mist and just basically spraying right up about a foot away from the edge of the roof line, and making sure that the bleach mixture or whatever roof mix is not hitting it too hot. It's able to go ahead and just gently dilute it. We're not going to have to deal with any issues there. The roof guy who's ever spraying on there, the first 2 feet of there need to be wet all the way across before we do the higher areas. That's going to help catch and reduce some of that runoff. Be very, very light in those areas. It may even be worth it, and all this should, for the most part, be done with a fan tip. That way we're able to cover a larger area. It's going to be a thinner coat and going to work better that way. With the second coat at that point. So we've done the first coat. Go ahead and start doing that second coat. Second coat's going to be all over. So at that point, we're getting, you're painting the outside edges of your, get the bottom done, then do the outsides and the top. Move the ground guy should be around to the back side when we're doing that top edge, because it's very hard to hit that top without getting a lot of overspray onto the far side. Ideally, I mean, that's where you're going to try to switch to one of the shooter tips. And same thing, we want to go ahead and get that top 2 or 3 feet sprayed that way, and then the rest of it can be done by using the fan tip. If we're spraying towards the top of the roof, we're going to go this way. If we're spraying the majority of it, you're going to do side to side. You know what I mean? After the first coat's done, we do want to give it about 10 minutes to start working, depending on how hot and sunny it is, depending on if we've got shade on that side or what's going on. That's going to determine how long. Take your time. If we're doing the house wash also, or patio or anything else, let's go ahead and knock that out. Once we get that second coat on, again, finish whatever house washing stuff we got to do, anything else, let it completely dry. And if it's still damp, still wet, that means that the solution's still working. Keep an eye also on those downspouts. Let's make sure that the bags are not overflowing. And again, after a couple jobs, it should be pretty obvious, hey, this one's going to need about 10 feet, this one's going to need about 20 feet, or whatever it may be. Once we're done, and then in between these coats too, especially if we've got some really nice plants and things, we'll go ahead and take that ground guy and go ahead and start misting underneath these plants, getting the leaves. If it's super hot, it may be worth taking the Tyvek and basically just draping it over the back of it so we can wet it and then put it back on top. Just make sure we don't flip and get the side that's been getting the roof mix on it and flip it over and then be burning plants that way. That's not going to work too well. Any electronics, any other delicate things should be covered up previously. Especially, I mean, if we've got security cameras, we want to go ahead and put a bag over the top of that. Any smart doorbells or anything should be taped off. Stained doors. We shouldn't be cleaning a roof without cleaning the deck if there is one. In general, I mean, on the far side, everything else should also be soaked down. When we're done, what needs to happen is that then carefully take the gutter bag. We're going to lift up the part that's in front of it so that we've got most of the solution at the end of it and not by the downspout. Carefully take the other end down. This should be a 2-person job. Last thing we want to do is be pulling a bag with roof mix in it and all of a sudden it punctures or gets caught on something and starts spilling stuff everywhere. Take that, depending on how much we've got. We can either do some 5-gallon buckets with it or find a place on property where that mix can be safely disposed of. Ideally not at the base of a tree or any nice bushes or anything like that. At that point, you guys are going to go around and then put down gypsum pellets at the base of it. We're going to spray some Agent Halt on all the plants. Just downstream that onto all the plants. Make sure all the windows, everything else has been rinsed down real well. Get the customer to go ahead and come outside, and they should be coming outside before we finish taking the bags off the cutters. That way they can look at it, get a second set of eyes, make sure that everything looks great to them. And also we're still, you can leave the hoses hooked up, just turn the machines off, let it sit, let it dry. Assuming everything looks great, that's when we're going to start talking to the customer, explain to them if there's any moss or lichen on there. Process basically that it's going to take a couple weeks. We're going to let it dry out. It will eventually just completely crumble and fall off the roof. If after basically a month you still have stuff up there, and assuming that we've had some decent rainfalls, give us a call. We'll come out, check it out. It can take longer than that, but it should be pretty well dead at that point. Yeah, so that's the process in a nutshell. Just need to make sure that this is followed. I mean, as long as if we're bagging the gutters, if we're putting the Tyvek on top of the plants, if we're making sure that the overspray is diluted, and if we're not using too much solution and having lots of runoff, that's going to prevent 99% of any opportunity for anything to get damaged. And everything that we do and show the customer that we're doing is also something that shows that we have gone above and beyond to make sure that their stuff is being protected. And if something does go wrong, we're in a better spot as well. So if you've got questions about this, let me know. Don't just decide to do something differently. And if it looks like it's going to be raining in the next 3 to 5 hours, you know, we got to take that into consideration before doing the job. So, all right, have a great day.